Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service.
And now that you have your awareness in your body, the awareness back in the room, I want to tell you about the next part of our program. And it's quite remarkable because this individual has had experiences prior to Circle of 12 that have now made total sense, or even more clarity from the Circle of 12 experiences. So Lee and I are deeply, deeply honoured to have this person share their story with us. His name is Davy Dijkstra. He is from the Netherlands, but we're zooming from the Canary Islands, and I want to make sure Davy's on the Zoom with us. Davy, are you there?
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Wonderful. All the way from the beautiful Canary Islands. And Lee, I know you are very excited to hear about all of the experiences that Davy's had.
So we'll make this short. Let me tell you just a little bit about Davy Dijkstra. Together with his wife, Denise, Davy manages a spiritual network. It's translated kind of Lichtwerkers of the Netherlands because he's Netherlands-based. Today, this network is touching the lives of many millions in the Netherlands and also internationally. It's really taken off. Davy managed many companies all over the world, like pharmaceutical companies, homeopathic pharmaceutical companies, specializing in snake remedies, meat-eating plants, tarantulas, spider poisons, all the things that probably worked really well. And he managed to practice as a natural healer, acupuncturist, homeopath, and worked as a medium. Now, Kryon says a medium, there's no such thing, a medium really is a large. That's really a joke.
Well, I'll make sure I laugh at your joke, Lee, just in case no one out there gets it. But getting a little more serious now, because as a toddler, Davy was quite traumatized by consciously entering his dream state many times. And when I say dream state, he refers to it now as his soul energy. And he was traumatized again in his 20s by a doctor trying to sell him operations that would take away organs and leave him on chemo and drugs for the rest of his life. He ignored the doctor, walking around thinking that he would die soon. Well, 2 near-death experiences followed. The first came with a spontaneous remission, while the second, it gave him clarity about his trauma when he was a toddler, and then it gave him so much more.
So the Circle of 12 for Davy is a place where all of these experiences start to make total sense, giving him a very satisfying next logical step in his life. I want to hear where that next logical step is going to take him and some of these experiences. Davy, welcome to the program. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, take us back to when you were a toddler. You were having this dream state, and now you recognize it as your soul energy. Can you share that with us?
Yes, as a toddler, when I would fall asleep, I would get this very intense snowy picture of a TV that has no signal, but instead of being 2D like a television set, it was like 3D, like I was traveling so fast through the galaxy that it was like warp speed from Star Trek. And it didn't take very long, and then all of a sudden it stopped, and I was looking at this beautiful nebula, a place where I would go many times. And had a lot of fun. But there was one night that I realized that all my past lives were there, but even my future lives. And I also felt that my life that I was living at that moment was a part of the nebula. So I decided to zoom in. And while the zooming in started, for my feeling as a toddler, it took so long that somehow in this big nebula, this life that I was living was feeling so insignificant that it just made me sad, and it made me scared that my life didn't have any meaning. And when I was being so scared, I all of a sudden was pulled out of it and woke up sweating. And that was for me the moment in my life as a child that I decided to never go back there because it was too scary and I had no way to explain to my parents what that was, because I knew they would not understand. Well, this snowy picture I now feel and understand is like, in a way, also the mist where Kryon speaks about when we go over the bridge. At least that's how it feels for me, because in my second NDE, I was taken back to exactly the same place. And all of a sudden, by very loving beings, I was put in the nebula, looking at my life, seeing the meaning of it, and so much more about how this life is about the male and female energies, the giving and taking, or the great I am, the I masculine and the M, the feminine part, how this life especially is about that. And I was overwhelmed about the significance of this life that I thought as a toddler was very insignificant. So all of these experiences I have carried around with me after all these NDEs and things I have experienced till, well, it's now almost 2 years that we have the Circle of 12, where for me Kryon put everything together. Even I think maybe it was the 12th episode where Kryon said, well, some people are a little bit more advanced, and when they go through the mist, they find themselves directly in the universe. And I, with the way I listen to Kryon, I've got all these little hints and put all these things together. And yeah, that made for me the Circle of 12 something that I'm working with daily to unravel myself and to share with others, you know, the beauty of it, because I know that in this part of ourselves, because my second NDE led to my spontaneous, or my first NDE led to my spontaneous remission, just like Kryon says, and just like the whole Circle of 12 is a healing Wednesday. So I know that healing is 100% possible in that place, because I have experienced it for myself. And yeah, that's for me like it feels for me like the Circle of 12. It's like being allowed or being coached by Kryon to you are like in a movie theater and you go back in the room with the projector, and there you can make the changes. And that's for me how it feels. You go into the soul, into your real being, and there you make some changes and you experience them in your life. And well, how
beautiful. And for me, now that we're sharing about the experiences, because Lee and I are involved in our own experience of it, I find that the Circle of 12, we bring it back with us. We start to integrate it more into our life. It's not just about having this kind of fix where you have to go there because you can't get it in your life. I find that what it does is it enhances life and it integrates into our life. How is that for you? Because you've already shared now, you're doing it on a daily basis. How do you integrate it into your daily life?
Everything I want to change in my life, I change there first. So literally everything. If I want to do more exercise, if I want my health changes, or if I'm looking for inspiration, if I'm writing something, if I'm looking for good ideas, I first go into the Circle of 12 and I just let my fantasy go all the way. And of course, I'm very inspired by all the, with no disrespect, the storylines that Kryon has given to me. And I am very creative with that. And I notice the changes around me. I notice that when, especially in the Circle of 12, for example, you have all these masters healing you, and I notice, but maybe it's because my worthiness and my belief in this is like very strong. that I notice in my daily life, the changes that it really makes in my life. And all I really can emphasize for everybody that, we start living from the ego. It's like seeing is believing. And in time, we go into the heart space, where the circle of 12 is also, and believing becomes seeing. So when the emphasis is on believing, and you put all your power, even your ego, you surrender it into believing, and it's not about seeing first, but about believing. And when that energy goes behind the experiences Kryon takes you on, the effects are going to be multiplied. That's my personal experience, so to speak, yes.
So when you had the experience of fear and it pulled you straight back out, and then later you understood you had these loving beings guide you there, what advice would you give to someone who does have fear? Because it can be overwhelming. What advice do you have for people that have fear of the process?
Wow, that is a good one. My wife always tells me that I have cheated because of my NDEs. And if you do not have had an NDE, it's not that easy. And she says that with fire in her heart. So maybe I've been cheating here. So I might not be the best person. But on the other hand, it's like I definitely experience it. So maybe I have experienced it to testify that it is true. And to be this message of hope in that sense. Because I don't think I would have lost my fear of this if I did not have the NDE. But I do believe that everybody wants this to be true. And it is just like when you want to be, for example, you broke your leg and you want to learn to walk again, stay on it. You have to do it every day. It's just like a baby. A baby is the power a baby puts into to getting up and start walking. We are like babies. And I've seen also with other people, I coach with the Circle of 12. Don't start, if a baby falls down because it doesn't start walking immediately, don't kick it, don't blame it, don't say it's not worthy, or don't be hard on it. I have the feeling that this is like this amazing transformation process that is allowed in this time. So maybe it even takes a lifetime, maybe two. But this is where the work is for my feeling. This is where it's at. And that's something I can testify because of my experiences, but I notice that it's very difficult sometimes for people to really go from the ego to the heart, from I want to see it instead of believing it, and going into the Circle of 12, knowing you put the seed in the ground, knowing that it will come. Just stick with that. Not, for example, you want some physical ailment to go away, and you did one circle and you run to the mirror and look if it's calm. That's not how you put a seed in the ground. It is a process. It also takes time. That's also for me, but I'm like this farmer trusting that the seed is in the ground and it is blessed by non-physical and blessed by Kryon, and listen more to Kryon. And I do it for years. I have listened to thousands of hours of Kryon channelings, and that might also make you more rooted in trusting the source of this information. So yeah, maybe this helps.
Definitely.
I love it. I want to know a little more about your work and those around you who are working with you in the Netherlands. You have thousands who are listening to you, who are benefiting by what you are saying. Tell me more about that work, and how did that come to be? Well,
after my first NDE and my second NDE became more, I became totally passionate about channeling. I come from this very rich, famous family with my father, author of many books known in the world. I never wanted to read anything. But after my first NDE, I started to read every book on channeling. And later on, I started listening to all channeled information. So for me, my spirituality was booming, but it was booming in such a way that I became this weird person, like Kryon says, like, don't become too weird, but I did. And yeah, that's the truth. It's really, yeah. And I became so weird that my relationship did not work. My family could not connect with me anymore until I met my wife, who was weird in her own way, like seeing dead people and everything. There are no dead people, but seeing the living dead, well, seeing people that have transitioned, so to speak. And our connection made that we were both so lonely in the past that we thought, let's make this schoolyard. And it started off like a project, a charity project, which it's, by the way, still is primarily, where there's a lot of information shared, especially, mostly not about my wife and I don't really share information. We share information from other people that have practices, that are looking for people to come to their practices, people that start channeling, and we help them make, in a way, themselves known so they can more easily make their own business out of it and start living their greatest joy and have this giving and taking in balance. Because a lot of people think that if it has to do with spirituality and with the divine, you're not allowed to make money. But the truth is, if the male and female energies are not aligned, so if giving and taking is not balanced, it will not grow. It does not stick. So it's, for us, from our realization, it's just very important that people have that chance. So that's how this whole Lichtwerkers, the Netherlands, came to be. And over time, we got, for our feeling, very blessed that real amazing channelers like Pamela Kribbe, who's known all over the world internationally, and Wieteke Koolhof, who you can also see on Gaia, like these big channelers that are also Dutch people, and they are a big part in our network, and they share a lot of their information, and they also made products that can be bought in our shop, but they also make for tons of hours free products. So for every budget, there's everything. So that is what we are doing right now. And every day we grow. And if there are people waking up and they're feeling like, hey, I might be channeling, well, please contact us, because we are very channeling nerds. So it can be very well that we say, well, what you're doing is amazing, and let us give you this push and enjoy it and start doing that, so you can stop all your other activities. That's how our business model started, around first Pamela and later Wieteke. We like to take all of the handling and a little bit of promotion away. We do all that so the channelers can only channel, because in my heart, these messages are so important. So that is, in a way, what we do. And it's still also a big charity project where we get thousands and thousands of mails, and we try to answer everybody when possible. And when there's time, we also do consultations. And that is, it is our greatest joy to do this. And especially in these days, we started off feeling so lonely, and now we are blessed with millions and millions of people waking up, and just in the Netherlands. And the Netherlands has like 18 million people. So what Kryon is saying, this is the time. If you look at the news, you don't hear these kinds of beautiful messages, because that's what it is. What's happening on our side is just proof that people are waking up, they are searching for new information, and their hearts are breaking open. So, yeah. That is the blissful part of the journey of Lichtwerkers, the Netherlands, that we are in right now, and where it has grown into. And I am, very joyful and very eager to see what it will grow into in the future.
I love that you said you're a channeling nerd.
I love that
You
too.
are right in good company here. And for those who are wondering about the website, it'll be in the chat. The chat angels will be dropping in the website. But you can go to lightraisersworldwide.com. That's the site for English. Obviously, there is a website for the Dutch-speaking community, which is big in the Netherlands. But in English, it's lightraisersworldwide.com. And on the replay of this program, scroll down beneath the video. That's where you'll see the biography for Davy and the websites there as well. I want to know if there's any kind of stories that have evolved, like the synchronicities that have unfolded with people connecting on this website. What are some of the more memorable moments or some stories that you can share with us?
But I was looking for a special story, and not too long ago, I think it was last week, I connected somebody with the Circle of 12, because I talk a lot about it, about my experiences, and she really did the work. And I told her, you do not really, like Kryon says, you do not have to go across the bridge and through the mist. And she was trying and had a lot of problems visualizing. I could help her with that, but that story is probably for now too long. And then last week she contacted me, Davy, I finally made it. I do not have to go over the bridge, through the mist, into the soul. I can just go in there. So I found that was a really beautiful story that also has to do with the Circle of 12, because I believe that at a certain time, we stand with one foot in the 3D, you're in this world, and the other foot in the other world. And I'm not saying that's working for me all the time, but a lot of times it works. And the synchronicities that then start to happen within your life, with this detachment and surrender that happens because of this way of looking at life, the synchronicities in life just gets, from some people that have the feeling that life is like a hell and I will never come back. When I die, I'm never going back to this planet. You all of a sudden feel like, it is so beautiful here, and if I die, I'm definitely coming back. So there is this shift.
Beautiful. So I do want to touch on your experience then in guiding someone. Firstly, I love that you said we don't have to do the script that Kryon is given. And even Kryon has said that. Some will just go straight to the soul. So thank you for sharing. Guide us now through someone, because we've talked about this, there are people who aphantasia cannot visualize. They simply cannot. There's nothing wrong with them. It's their own process. So guide us how you help someone to do that when they go into the Circle of 12.
Okay. She said it was impossible. So then I told her a story this story worked for her. When I was in school, I think I was around 16, 17 years old, and it was a cold day, I think in November. It was still dark out. It was an amazing moment, so I didn't really forget it. And I came on my bicycle, because in the Netherlands, we have to go through the cold on our bicycle to school. And I came there, and there were these cool kids from my class. They were standing there smoking and everything. And I walked up to them, and there was this really weird energy. And two of my classmates, Maarten and Martin, I even remember their names. I don't have contact with them, but you don't really forget a story like that. They were all a little bit like totally nervous, and they couldn't wait to tell me a story. So they came up to me, and I was looking at the other people. They were kind of in shock. So I was like, what's going on here? And they said, we were this weekend, we were looking at a movie in a movie theater, and we were just having fun. We were eating something. The lights went out, and we were enjoying the movie. When all of a sudden Martin had to sneeze, but it was like November, so he sneezed, like a really big boogie on the shoulder of the man sitting in front of him. And they were sitting behind it, but it was a really big man with probably his first date, and they were like getting scared because of the movie. They were seeing this glinting, and they knew the break was coming up. So they were like really scared. And out of nowhere, this man all of a sudden went like, Achoo! And he looked at his shoulder and he just put it in. And this story cured the visualization problem of Laura. So,
that's the story. That's the story that I'll use from now on. This is the boogie story.
It's so visual. But I mean, you can't even believe that such a thing could happen, right?
I'll remember that now, Davy, just like you have. Oh.
Yeah, I really had to puke. I use this story. I really do it in certain presentations because I almost puked in that moment, and I told people, and sometimes people almost have to puke. I said, now you see how a visualization controls the physical processes in your body.
Yes.
I said, now you can feel it. And at that age, I knew just the story could make me puke out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's only because in my mind I was totally disgusted. So I also use that. Normally I use that story in that context, but this woman could also not visualize, so I told that story, and she thanked me, not really, with mixed feelings.
It's so visceral.
It is.
And there's an emotional trigger.
Yeah.
And this is the point.
This is how we work things.
Where we have an emotional trigger. And thank you for all that you've shared. I love that you said, and Kryon says it too, belief is key. That is number one for any experience or cognizing the channeled information. Do you believe it's real?
Yeah.
Do you believe that you are here as an eternal soul having a temporary expression on life? Do you believe it? If you believe it, it has to start there. Nothing's going to happen unless it starts there.
It's the basis. We're going to find out if he has some words for our listeners, because we're kind of out of time.
Yeah, we're at the end of our conversation, but my goodness, you've had so much to share. Is there any kind of final words you want to share with everyone, Davy?
About this topic, like belief, it's what I found with all of the consultations I make. It's like, it is such a big step, and it is the process everybody's in. This like your own inner child learning to walk, like going from believing is the result of what you can see in the here and now. That is the mind, that's the ego. But as soon as you understand that, you have to believe it first, and then it will manifest. Like if you now believe in a cup of coffee, it will manifest. It's not here now. And all these things that you automatically manifest the whole time. This is this journey, and as soon as you make this journey, this is the journey you make when you go through the mist. You also go these 40 centimeters to enlightenment, into the soul, into the heart. So it's all about surrendering to the heart consciousness, that the ego dares to surrender and trust that all is well. I think that's one of the biggest part. And something that I found that helps many people is lose all concern in what other people feel about you. Only be concerned about how you feel about them. That changes everything. If that is immune to all of the fluctuations of all the characters in your life, and your love, your kindness is free from whatever mood the outside world is projecting onto you, because otherwise you're just emotionally dependent on the outside world. That is like something that is, that can really help you making this transition from the ego into your heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Davy, taking us from the ego to the heart consciousness. Thank you.
Well, thank you too. Thank you very much for having me. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Beautiful. So beautiful. And we are now going to take a 10-minute break. Go and check out lightraisersworldwide.com, and then we will see you back here for the Circle of 12.